Greetings, brothers and sisters. Um, like, I was just opening up my browser this morning, all the things, and this was the first thing I saw on Facebook. Somebody had posted it. And I just made public my video about this dude putting his hand on Trump's knee. I have a meme of that. We'll run the meme after I show you this. So this guy, rubbed Trump's knee in his thigh. That weird exchange. And then his wife, who's 25 years older than him, his former school teacher. And, maybe not a dude, but, definitely a possibility. Like, it wouldn't be so hard to believe check out them shoulders. It's definitely more broad shoulders than the husband. So that's the president of France.
Of building this lasting peace.
I just want to tell you a little story. So we were at the Eiffel Tower having dinner with your wonderful wife and with my wonderful wife, and we came out and he started speaking the French deal. And we didn't have an interpreter, and he was going on and on and on, and I was just nodding, yes, yes, yes. And he really sold me out, because I got back the next day and I read the papers. I said, that's not what we said. He's a smart customer, I will tell you that. Sure.
So I did a whole bit on this thing. Like there should be something said like, dude, you just grabbed my knee. Why'd you grab my knee, bro? Bro, why do you think you have permission to put your hand on my knee? Like, bro, it's not this America. We don't do that kind of shit here, right? So anyways, there's the leader of France. Okay, so this popped up in my feed. Don Lemon says Megyn Kelly's husband is hitting on his husband. Which I can believe because Megyn Kelly possibly could be a dude. There's people who think Megyn Kelly is Nicole Simpson, OJ's supposedly dead wife. There's people who believe that. And there are people who believe she's a dude. Which would make it, more understandable. But this is Don Lemon's husband. I don't know where this is from. I couldn't find it other than here.
Hit on a lot at Republican events from married people.
Married men.
Yeah.
The same men that go around asking what a woman is.
Yeah. And saying that liberals are groomers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are blowing up Grindr at the Republican convention. Got it.
A lot of gay dudes in the Republican Party, according to these gay dudes, which is believable, could be true. A lot of times people who are, really, he thinks you protest too much kind of thing. Watch, they're going to drink at the same time here. They took a sip at the same time. So they're saying that a lot of MAGA dudes are gay. And they were going to have these claims all the time, though. And I would assume there are a lot of MAGA people who are posers, like a lot of these reverends and people. Like I am. Jim Baker and, these guys, Christian, who profess they're anti-gay and then they end up being gay themselves. But then he goes after Megyn Kelly's husband here.
And by the way, Megyn, let me just say something. Deal with your own house and tell your husband to stop looking at my husband across the room. It's weird. Okay?
Okay. Stop doing it, Megyn. Your husband stops. Tell his husband, looking at his husband. Now, who knows? But it's within the realm of possibilities. So here she is with her husband. Now, Megyn Kelly's got this deep voice, and she's with Megyn Kelly. I am Megyn Kelly.
Not so interested in becoming one. You were more of a private guy. And this is
He's a
one of the
private
things you
guy.
had to wrestle with.
Is he a wide guy? Who's he wrestling with? It doesn't sound good. It sounds like he's a wide guy. She says he's a wide guy, and he's wrestling with some other dudes. So that could be, we'll see.
When you decided to propose to me, right? I mean, you understood. I was on Fox at the time, though I was a cub reporter. By the time we got married, I had America's Newsroom with Hemmer, so my star was kind of rising a little. So you had to make a decision on whether you wanted to put a toe into public life that way.
Where are you putting your toes, bro?
And it really did
I mean, there's all kinds of clues here.
require a thoughtful reflection by you.
It did, and of course, all worthwhile. We'd do it all again, obviously, but
Good.
it does require some thought. But no one can know
good.
exactly what they're getting into with.
Good. He's a little bit effeminate. I don't know. Could be possibly a gay dude. She's definitely manly. She's got the manly vibe.
That even you, I'm sure, and there is a lot of good with the bad. The good far outweighs the bad. I mean, when we go places, almost 99% of the interactions are positive. People coming up and saying, "You inspire me. You inspire my daughter. I want my daughter to be like you." It's almost always that.
They say that to you, bro? They say that to you? All right. And applaud Don Lemon for going there because he's finally found his niche. That makes good content. I think the first time I could say he's brought some good content, whether this is true or not, whether this dude is looking at Don Lemon's husband or not, or if it is true, whatever. But if it's true, even better. But, that's the kind of show Don Lemon should devolve into, accusing Megyn Kelly's husband of looking at his husband. Like, that's the kind of stuff that Don Lemons and Megyn Kelly should. They found their little, they're getting bitchy, right? Like, go bitchy, Don. Don, go bitchy, go as bitchy as you can. This is your thing. Like, if you're like stupid and your take on politics and current events are horrific and but this kind of thing, you could get a nice little audience going there, just get into it with Megyn Kelly, have a little bitch fight, like go and like slap each other, like you have some kind of slap fight somewhere where you and Megyn Kelly are slapping the shit out of each other. Like that's the kind of content we want to see from you, Don. Like this is where you should live with this kind of thing.
Very few negative ones. There have been moments where we're like really peaking on intensity and focus on you that's unpleasant, but for the most part, it brings far more good into our lives than.
Okay, so here are the Kellys, Megyn and Roger. Let's call him Roger. Roger Kelly. I don't know what his name is. And so, yeah, good job, Don. I mean, this is the kind of thing we need to see from you. So this is from Australia Sky News. I really like the Australian accent. And they really shit all over the Democrats and the liberals. I mean, I'm constantly getting stuff from them, either people sending it to me or whatever.
As part of those changes, it has been reported that the majority of
So this is about MSNBC. Go back a little bit here.
repair the network's bottom line. As part of those changes, it has been reported that the majority of Rachel Maddow's staff working on her primetime show are being let go, with the option of taking severance or redeployment to other parts of the business.
So they're doing they're doing Doge at MSNBC. They're Doging it over there. They're going in and firing all the worthless, getting rid of all the dead weight. CNN and MSNBC are hemorrhaging, and this is with a Trump presidency. Like, how bad is it when you're trying? I guess maybe so many people have died, they've lost their audience, but people just aren't hating Trump like they used to. And so there's that was their heyday when Trump's first term, and now they're a couple months into Trump's presidency, and they're having to deal with the fact that they trimmed $5 million off of her salary, fired her best buddy, and all the rest of it. So tough days for Rach. So this is another official White House video, and we saw that video from Trump and his. I can't tell you how disgusted I am by that video of Trump in Gaza. Like, it's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever covered. His, projecting Trump merch in Gaza and him posted that on his Instagram account. Like I can't even, I mean, express how disgusting that is. Like it's funny because it's so disgusting, and he's the president, and it's so lowbrow. Like it's funny. Nothing about Gaza is funny, obviously, in terms of the dead children and the frickin' what's happened there. I mean, it's just it's demonic. Like what Israel's doing to them is demonic, and the world and America too, right? Trump, but him posting this gaudy Trump, merch and shit like that, and then to do that as a president, and it's just unbelievable. Like it's just the degradation of the presidency. But then there was this ad.
For the millions of illegal aliens that have been released in this country in violation of federal law, you're going home. These are gang members. These are the ones carrying fentanyl across the border. And these are people from terrorist-related countries.
This shows you how stupid he thinks his followers and supporters are. That you would get off on this, right? So this is Tom Homan. He's a Homan, another guy. Maybe he'll hit on Don Lemon's husband as well. Tom Homan is talking tough about these illegal aliens, which America's happy about for the most part. But just like again, it's if they're criminals, sure. But some of these people have families here, and they came here illegally, and it's it is illegal, this crime. So yeah, they get deported. But some of them are not. Most of them are not criminals, right?
We're gonna hammer away and make sure.
We're going to hammer away. So, Kristi Noem, why the fuck are you wearing a bulletproof vest? She's giving a speech. Are you going out there? Are you out there arresting criminals? Are you arresting drug dealers? Is that why you're wearing this, Kristi? Why the fuck are you wearing a bulletproof vest?
We're going to hammer away and make sure that we clean up our streets and give American people back their country.
I mean, the fact that she's wearing a fucking bulletproof vest, that's the whole reason I'm making the video. This was the thumbnail. Like, just stop it, right? You're not freaking going out there. There's no need for you to have this on. You're not going out there and what, you're going to go shoot another dog? Like, what do you do? Like,
Public safety threats and national security threats, they're first. We will not let you prevent us from saving the American communities from illegal alien crime because American people demand it.
President Donald J. Trump, that's just disgusting. It's, so performative. It's so fake. It's just not, And, whatever they're doing, if they're really, you'd have to go story by story with these people. And, some of them might be contributing. A lot of them are contributing. They have jobs that are necessary to our economy that somebody else, people who are American citizens aren't going to do. That's the reality. Like, are you arresting the people who are hiring them? Are you arresting them? Are you coming up with Kristi Noem coming to your house with a bulletproof vest and, a couple of dogs that are, that she won't kill because they're doing a good job? And I think they're going to come to your house and, those things because, Donald Trump hired illegals. All these people do. And so, it's not, it's not being honest. Tom Homan and Kristi Noem drop a blistering warning to illegal aliens. Are they going to watch this? They're watching this right now, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is a blistering warning." They're here illegally. They're just going to get deported. You're not putting them in jail. They just come back in, right? They'll find a way back in. Just look at the flag up here. Let's go this thing again. Here he is playing grab ass with a French guy. Let's go this thing again. I don't want to hear shit from any Trumper ever again. Not that I wanted to hear him from the beginning. But any Trumper that leaves a comment, this is, you should just pretend you're not a Trumper anymore after this thing. Bearded dudes dancing. This is just horrific. Like, if you don't understand how bad this is, how obnoxious this is, how wrong this is, how this is everything that they said, everything that people told you about Trump, him and, him partnering with Israel, of all places, has been being Israel's bitch, right? Everything that the people said to you about Trump, it turned out to be true. Like, this is shocking to me. Like, I can't, I mean, this is so Trump, but I never would have imagined this be what they would do. Fucking Trump balloon, all that shit, dancing with that fucking dude there. I mean, all of it. Trump Gaza, fuck, look at this thing. This big ass fucking statue in the middle of Gaza, and then him and Ben fucking Beatty. I mean, what are those guys? That's something. They must have created that with AI. Those two old fat fucks sitting there next to a frickin' pool in Gaza. Beatty doing that. Like, I mean, my Beatty couldn't even imagine that Trump would go there. Those dancing bearded dudes, all this shit, right? Like, if you're a Trumper, any Trumper, you just like you can't say anything. You've been fucking played. This is what this guy's done with your vote, right? You voted for this guy. You supported him. Your bullshit. Is this MAGA? It's making America great. Make America great again. Like, this shit is fucking atrocious. He is a worthless piece of shit, and he fucking is a grifter. All the things that you were told about Trump, and this is what he's going to do. He's not a fucking hero. He's not the second coming of Christ. He is a piece of shit grifter, and this fucking guy is celebrating on the blood of children. I mean, all you guys who are anti-child trafficking, the children that were killed and the children that are suffering now in Gaza, and will suffer when they take those kids out of that, they ethnic cleanse that place, right? All the bombs that killed children, but it's also the kids who are maimed, kids who are, I mean, all the toxic dust and shit, there's cancer, so these people suffer from lung cancer. God knows if Israel's even using things like depleted uranium and shit in there. And who knows what kind of shit that they're dropping on those people. And they don't have, food and water and electricity, and then they're going to be taken out of their country, their homeland, and dumped in the middle of fucking desert and ethnically cleansed. And just, some of these people are, professional people with, doctors and lawyers, in their country, and then they're going to be, working like shit jobs, try to, in some country that doesn't want them. Their kids going to be suffering, all because Trump can build this fucking thing. Israel can get some of their land, and God doesn't promise land. That's bullshit. The Old Testament sucks. It's a bad book. It's demonic. Fuck these guys, right? Fuck you too for voting for him. I mean, this is like what you get. Like, this is fucking Trumpy and Trump. Those fucking two fuckers right there. Like, it's just bad. Like, it's horrible. And so, I mean, it's just like I'll probably show this every day for the next 4 years. It's so bad. It's like the epitome. It's just the fakeness and what's this guy celebrating? What is that? Are they eating dead babies there? What is he eating there? Is that hummus of ground up Palestinians? These fuckers, right? These fucking demonic fucks. Dropping money from the sky, manna from heaven. This stuff. Just the fucking Trump statue and this gaudy Trump fucking gold shit. This fat fuck here. So, not a fan of it. So another great meme here. This is Lauren Boebert. 5 things I did last week. Gave Kid Rock a hand job. Bailed my kid out of jail. Bailed my ex out of jail. Went to church. Gave Kid Rock a hand job in church. Lauren Boebert. Remember, she was dating that guy, and they had some like infrared lights in some theater in Colorado or some shit like that. And she was doing inappropriate things with her date. And so, I think to me, it's a turning point. Like, I'm just intolerant of the MAGA bullshit now. After that gaudy, like, just the arrogance and the swagger and the victory dance that Trump has by putting that Gaza thing out and all this stuff that he's doing. They're just feeling themselves so much. And they're going to run this country into the ground. And it's going to happen anyway. That's why I'm not, it deserves to go into the ground, right? It's God's will. This thing's got to end. Unfortunately, all the good people that are in America who are, whatever it is, all the people who are decent people, right? Which there's lots of good people in America, like any country. And the good people always suffer with the evil ones. That's what sucks. There's a whispers message about that. I have a couple whispers I'm going to play at the end of this thing for my Journey series. But there's a whispers message. I can't find it. I had saved it, but I can't find it somewhere. But they're like the guilty the innocent will be punished with the guilty. And that's what sucks for people. Like, when, bad shit happens, like when consequences happen for wrongdoing, the innocent people are, they're stuck with the guilty ones, right? And that's sort of the apocalypse in the Bible, the book of Revelation, that you can't, there's no sense of the innocent being given a reprieve, right? You're always connected to God, and God's always taking care of you if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But what's going to happen on planet Earth because of, not just certainly Trump, but the whole everything, right? Just the American leadership and all of us contributing to making this into a demonic system. So years ago, Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo were friends. At least they said they were friends. And they had this thing called the handoff, I think, handover, whatever, hand jobs, I don't know. Where Chris Cuomo's show would bleed into Don Lemon's show. And Chris Cuomo produced better content for his people. He's a little bit smarter. But they're both very douchey. They're both douchebags. And I used to have this thing called the douche off where I would, talk about their douchiness and give them, it was a made up thing. Kind of funny. Maybe I should find those videos, at least make them available on the member program. I thought it was a good bit. But Chris Cuomo's has become more of a truther, and Don Lemon's has become more of a bitch, right? I don't know which is worse. But here he is with this guy.
My phone. Oh, yeah. All over my phone because he said, with what's happening right now, Trump's White House may collapse within 30 days. And here he is now. Well, it worked, James. Here you are with everybody asking you about this, which is exactly why you said it. So bravo.
Thank you. You figured it out. Very smart. And the kind of guy took 8 years to get out of undergraduate school to LSU, be the intellectual leader or anything, but okay, I'm the intellectual leader.
Boom. Now this guy's some political genius, right?
Well, it's because you're the only one who's looking at it strategically as opposed to just, reactively. You know what I mean? Right. You're thinking about what it means. What do you see in the status quo of Trump's first few weeks?
The thing is, it hasn't collapsed because people aren't upset about, it's, they don't get the things that bother the American people, right? I mean, they should know by now, okay, food prices going up, disruption in services, inflation, things like this, right? There are things that are ideas. Like, how many of you are actually affected by illegal immigration? Like, how many of you who are watching this? How many Trumpers where illegal immigrant has taken your job or broken into your house, right? Criminal behavior, like something like that, right? Where you're pretty sure that's illegal immigrants that are causing the problem. Property values being devalued. Remember they were talking about that gang from Venezuela that was taking over an apartment building or some shit. What happened to that story, right? What about the people in Springfield, Ohio, the Haitians that were eating dogs? They're eating the dogs, like that shit with Trump, right? Like, so immigration is not a problem for most people. Like Palestine and Israel, that bothers people, but you're not being affected by it. Like, it's not gonna, you emotionally affected. You might not like it, right? But if you look at the things that really bother you, that affect us, right? Things that definitely affect us. Like, there's policies where, like, some of them, it doesn't affect you directly, but eventually will affect you, right? So if they, all the people that get benefits from the Department of Education giving out money to state by state, they give all these money to universities and schools. Like, all these schools and these universities get government money, taxpayer money. And so these institutions, and so they get to spend that money on things. And so all the businesses that have to deal with that. So that money goes into the economy and it might not directly affect you, but it affects you. You might not be affected by that lack of money, that lack of government money going into these different, I'm just using education, but what about hospitals and whatever it might be? So it might affect you in some way that you're not aware of, right? It's like, this idea of drag queens going to libraries. Now, they might not go to your library, but they go to a library and it affects the kids in some library, and those kids interact with your kids later on, and affects the internet, and your kids are, they're not exposed to that directly, but they're exposed to other kids who are exposed to that, right? So you never know, the way things affect you. But in terms of things that affect you directly, where you realize, Joe Biden, his economy, which was also Trump's economy, which is also, Obama's economy, right? Like there's all this stuff that happened. There's all these effects, the effects of the debt-based economy. But the inflation, where you go to the grocery store and you're like, holy shit, I just spent twice as much on groceries than I did, 2 years ago. That affects you. Like those are the things, anything that affects your lifestyle, right? And so those are the things that drive Americans. Like those are the, there's things that are just ideas, things that you're scared of, things you see happening, things that you tune on to the internet. Somebody, that's one of the problems with the truthers. There's so much fear baiting in the truth community, certainly in the right wing, certainly in the left wing. They fear bait, right? They tell you things are going to happen when they're not. And, but some of these things with Trump are happening, and they are going to affect you, right? Like if these, they're giving these vaccines to chickens. And that's another fucked up thing Trump's doing. Now, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's any mNRA vaccines that are for chickens. Like I don't know. Like it does. I haven't found any information that says there are. Like they haven't developed those for chickens. But whatever they're giving to chickens, whatever they give to animals is less safe than what they give to people. Some of that stuff that vets give and whatever it is. They don't, animals are, some of the food they feed, pet food and shit like that. And so anything they do to animals is going to be more toxic or whatever, less safe, less tested, less, it's just a bunch of chickens that no one gives a shit about. And so that goes into your chickens and goes into your eggs and when you buy chicken. If Trump's given all those vaccines, you don't know what's in it. And now that's affecting your body and you don't even know, right? Because Trump's a piece of shit. So this, they've never figured this out, that American people, you never know how they're going to react to something. But the things that really affect them, all the people that are now still homeless and suffering in Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina because of the floods, and all the people in California suffering from the fires, like those are, disgruntled people that aren't being taken care of, right? And the government money not being there for them because it's all been looted by the last two administrations and now Trump. Second one.
Weeks here that you believe has a promise of opportunity.
Well, very fair question. First, he started out with the lowest approval of any president ever started in the history of Poland. His numbers are going down. I just looked at the numbers you put up, 32%.
This is questionable because Forbes said there was a poll out that said his numbers have never been higher. I couldn't find that video. I saw it like on my toolbar. But there's, the polls are not to be trusted. But, Trump is definitely wasn't given the mandate that he said he was, right?
On inflation. Literally every Western democracy government has fell because of inflation. So I place a lot of stock on that. The trend is going the wrong way. But the real thing here, Chris, is the calendar. And what I'm asking Democrats to do is remember, I think it was Howard McMillan and then Howard Wilson said, events, my dear boy, events. So they have to produce a budget by March the 14th. They have to go through reconciliation. They can't not do it. They have to extend the debt limit. And what I am suggesting to Democrats, don't have press conferences.
Carvel has a feud with Stephen A. Smith.
Don't yell, don't scream, don't throw your hands in the air. Just let and you learn.
Just let it happen. He's doing my just let it happen thing, which, it wasn't like I made that up but it was specific to, young males playing sports like high school sports, biological males playing high school sports with females, and the suburban people having to deal with that shit, which came back to bite him in the ass. Right, Trump's president now, and he ran that ad. Just let it happen because people say that they're for things because they want to be like everybody else, but in secret they're freaked out or they're when they're affected by it, and they don't want to seem prejudicial or whatever. But the same thing with Trump, right? Trump's going to run this. He's doing things that's going to increase inflation. Those tariffs are going to increase inflation. There's just no way they're not. See, this is what I was saying about the economy, and he's saying the same thing because it's just facts. I mean, for whatever insight this guy has, that is a real political strategist. When the economy collapses, inflation goes up, you're fucked. That's one of the worst things you can have. When people have to pay more for whatever and inflation's going to be a part of every presidency from now on. The deficit's gotten too big, and it's just, they can't artificially hold the value of gold and land and things like this down. And so anything that they do is not going to solve the inflationary problem because they've looted so much money with the COVID shit. It was $6 trillion of bailouts that Trump put in. I mean, $6 trillion. Just that $6 trillion is, that's more than our income for the whole year. And so Trump did $6 trillion in COVID bailouts, and then Biden did another $6. So that's $12 trillion that hasn't even made it into the deficit yet. Like it's there, but it hasn't made it, hasn't, accrued into the deficit yet. And so, that's going to bump the inflation like crazy. They printed all that money, COVID money. So I was watching Max Kaiser. I think I told you guys this. I went to look at what he was saying about Bitcoin because of the whole thing with Bitcoin. And he, was saying that there's going to be a point where America's going to print $1 trillion in money and just buy Bitcoin because they're going to try to hedge their bets. Then Bitcoin's going to go crazy because of that. Because America already has some position in Bitcoin, but it's going to be more. And these other countries will be buying cryptocurrency instead of buying the American dollar. Not buying American bonds. They're going to be buying cryptocurrency, which means it's going to skyrocket in value. And then they'll shift. He didn't say this, but then they'll shift the currency from paper currency to a cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or something like it. And the value of the dollar as it relates to the cryptocurrency will be so low, you'll have to turn in your cash, your dollars, for like pennies on the dollar for crypto. And that's a way that they could pay off the deficit and, balance this out a little bit by just devaluing the dollar by making 10% of what it's worth today, even after the inflation that's already set in. And so all your cash and all your savings and all your stocks and all these things when they convert it over to crypto, you'll lose tons of value, and people will be like fucked, and there'll be it'll happen so quickly, and people won't even understand how much they've lost in terms of value. And then so that's a possibility, and then we'll see what happens from there. But when cash he's already gotten rid of the penny when they get rid of currency, which they almost have to, and then they have all this money that's going to be digital, and they have EMPs and things like that where the power will go out. I mean, there won't have the same kind of level, and lots of places won't have the same kind of services. And so you'll see just all this wealth will be lost. All this value can be lost. Like crypto can just disappear, just like your cash, your value now, because a lot of it's digital. And they can take away your money. Like if a stock collapse, like let's say, something's worth whatever, Facebook, Meta, that's I don't know what it's worth now, billions of dollars, whatever. I mean, it's crazy, but they could just devalue the stock. So all the money that you think you have, $90 a share or whatever, and it goes down to $20 a share. And you're like, oh man, I just lost $70 a share, and you have, some rich person has, 10,000 shares. they just lost millions of dollars, right? And they can do that across the board where they just take away value. So all the wealth that people think they have their money stored in this and that and the other thing. And they just take away the value and you get pennies on the dollar. And that's what they're going to have to do. Like this is the inflationary problems. And so Trump's going to be on the hook for this. He's going to be blamed for this. And then they'll blame the next guy because no one's going to, they'll be like, well, Trump fucked us, so we'll go with the Democrat. And they'll just go back and forth like this until there's nothing left, right? Until there's just this America isn't anything like it used to be. It's a shell of what it was. One of the other ways is to distract is war. And so, they started war and we saw that with Bush and all that stuff. Obama continued that, keep the war machine going. And so, that could be an issue with the World War III, who knows what. But either way, it's desperate times for America. There's no solution. There's no way to make up for all this all this debt.
Baseball, when you were a kid, just like I did, you were taught to let the ball come to you. Don't charge the ball. Let the ball come to you, then throw it. The ball is coming to us. And the other thing that
See, it's not rocket science. It's rocket science because there's no solutions to America's tanking, right? America's been looted. It's been, it's being thrown away like a used rubber, right? It's just we had our time as the number one country, and it's just limited. And so this is the fall of an empire. Really, this is an extension of the British Empire. And whatever the next phase is, there's no preventing this from happening. And I've said this over and over again. And so in a two-party system, you're going to have bad presidencies one after the other. It's just going to go back and forth, the power shifting back and forth, and whoever gets in charge of the country gets to loot what's the rest of it, right? They could just push their shitty agenda on the country and loot the rest of it. Let's see about the Stephen A. Smith thing here. Okay, so this interview didn't have the Stephen A. Smith thing, at least as far as I can tell. I'll check it again, but I'm going to search to see if I can find it. But at the end, this is what Cuomo says. This is his sign-off.
Your party is the party of breathlessness and pearl clutching and hyper-reactionary things. And if you say something that's a little crazy, you're a Nazi and, can't...
It's like he never stopped being like a baby. He's like an ugly baby.
Well, I don't know that they'll follow your advice, but it's the right advice. James Carville, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Chris.
As always.
Thank you for your kind words. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Fact-driven, unbiased coverage. Can you believe that bullshit? Fact-driven, unbiased coverage. The Warriors, I did this video on my other channel about the Warriors being a championship contender, and Steph Curry threw in 56. I watched the game. An amazing game. This guy, Quentin Post, is from a guy from Netherlands, something, whatever it is. But that happened. But anyways, to say it's fact-driven, unbiased, they all want to get in on the truth or shit, right? That's what this is. People all realize they're being lied to. Like that's... More and more people are realizing that it's at a bigger scale. Like everybody believes the government and the media lies a little bit, but now they're like, well, we're being lied to all the time. And so they're looking for the truth. And these motherfuckers don't have it. They're just coming in, like after being a piece of shit on CNN forever, and this News Nation's, it totally leans to the right to say it's not biased and all the other bullshit that goes with it, right? It's just, it's obscene to be... They're all just sponging off of what we created. Not that like we have, everyone has bias and prejudice. When people say, oh, we're the truth, we're the Brahmers of the truth. Come on, fuck you, right? We're the ones. You're going to get the unbiased. This is the real truth you're getting from us. Everybody's trying to sell like they're giving the real truth. And they're not. Like they're just a little bit better than the mainstream media. I'm not going to cover this, but I'll just show you this one clip here. They didn't post the one with Cuomo and him, which is probably for the best.
I am a big Stephen A. Smith fan. I remember I saw him some years ago on TV, and I said, man, this guy's coming in hot. I don't know how long this is going to last. The truth about it, he's really worn well with me. He's very outspoken. Look, he's like anybody else that does any kind of commentary, sports commentary. He's sometimes wrong. Way more times he's right. I find him to be.
No, you're not watching him. It doesn't matter. They're not right or wrong. They try to do sensationalistic shit, right? And this whole thing with ESPN gambling, and they have these guys on now who talk about what the best bets are. And if you listen to these pundits, you would probably go broke, because at the very best it would be 50-50, but it wouldn't be. It's more like probably 40-60. And anything that they talk about, they drive the lines, the sport betting, the other direction because they have that kind of influence over people. And so, listening to these guys, you'd find out they're more wrong than right, especially when it comes to point spreads and things like this. But, they're not there to be right or wrong. They're there to create drama and sensationalism and to, bring energy to something that, it's just grown men running around in shorts, right? Like my brother was playing high school basketball and he went to my dad, "You coming to my game, Dad?" And my dad said, "Why would I want a bunch of men running around in shorts?" So I'm not applauding my dad, but it's funny. My dad was worthless, but
When it comes to sports, I find him to be really insightful. When it comes to politics, he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Boom.
He's on that running his goddamn mouth about how he may have to run as a Democrat because there's nothing left of the Democratic Party. There's no talent. Stephen A., are you shitting me? I mean, you say you're friends with Wes Moore and you say you're friends with Josh Shapiro. Well, I'm friends with both of them. I think they're really extraordinary, talented people. But I got news for you, dude. There's 6 or 7 other people in the Democratic Party that are just that talented.
Okay, so you're evaluating these people based in their ability to possibly get elected. But we've seen that there's no talent in the Republican or Democratic Party. There's nothing compared to what Trump has done in terms of like being a planet, like being a gravitational pull, like being a black hole where everything surrounds Trump. Trump dominated for 10 years. And then, Trump will be gone in 4 years and probably be diminished in 2. And then there'll just be the leftovers of Trump for the last 2 years of his presidency. And whatever's going on in the world, we'll see. World War III is happening. But, with all the shit that's happened, that's going down with Trump and all the stuff that's going down in the world, these people are just wanting or being, anything. Josh Shapiro is just some fake Obama talking. I mean, Josh Shapiro, seriously? Genocide Josh. And he's probably one of the better ones. He has at least some charisma. He definitely has some charisma. But they have nothing over there. That's what your take is, that Stephen A.?
So before you start running your fucking mouth off about politics, a topic of which you really don't know anything about, you ought to sit back and think about it and call some people and run it by them. But
you call those fucking pundits that are wrong all the time? I mean, they're wrong more than he's wrong about sports. I mean, just, like he's just obnoxious. Like he's like some kind of, like, like a character, like a Gollum or like a Jabba the Hutt, like those kind of characters, like some disgusting, guy who has some knowledge and, has some power and you have to go make a deal. So the hero has to go make a deal with him because, you need something from him or something. Just like that guy the collector in the Marvel movies, like some like weird fucked up person that you end up having to fucking deal with because they have something you need, like, in these quest movies where they're looking for something. They got to put together all these things to, they have to get all these pieces to the, like some kind of, they're going on a quest to grab all these things to fulfill their mission. And this guy is a keeper of one of them, right? Okay, so we haven't seen this dude in a while. He's not wearing lipstick like he did on 60 Minutes, but sometimes he does. I'll put a photo up right here. Let me just, hopefully I remember to do that. Let me put the photo up here. Okay, so this was a clip that was put out by 60 Minutes. I forget what interview he did. It was a whole segment he did on something that I covered. And halfway through, I realized that this is not doctored. This is straight from 60 Minutes, right? These are screenshots I took. You know, I didn't have good video editing stuff then, and 60 Minutes copyrights everything. So I don't have the actual, whatever it was. But I could find it, at some point if I wanted to, and I don't. But he was wearing lipstick in some of the segment, and at other parts he wasn't. I mean, it was weird, and I've noticed this that some nights he puts it on, some nights he doesn't. And so you might think it's his actual lip color, but when there was a difference here, you see this is from the same, the same episode. These were two, of the same shots, whatever it was. And he's wearing lipstick in some of them. I want to go back to what Carville was saying about Stephen A. Smith. Well, you need to talk to somebody. Some gatekeeper piece of shit over the Democratic Party? You guys just lost to Trump. You had an epic failure with the Joe Biden administration. You elected a senile fuck, which Stephen A. Smith called out earlier than the Democrats, and not as early as we did, because he's Stephen A. Smith. He's not a real, he's just a shill for sports, and now he's trying to get into politics. But you had a guy who was obviously senile. American people knew it. He had dementia of some sort. Parkinson's is what he really had. And he had cognitive difficulties. And that we have to talk to people. You think we have to talk to the experts and the pundits who are wrong about fucking everything, right? You guys suck at your job because your job isn't to tell the truth. Your job is to spin. And so, you have to talk to these spin doctors who don't really have lost all sense of the truth. But anyways, there is I got some memes that came up when I was searching for this picture. There's this one where Anderson Cooper, let's just show you the thing here.
But I got to tell you, I've already bought my ticket for that first trolley to hell.
Maybe you find my steely blue eyes somewhat shifty.
Give me one answer and you got 10 seconds.
If it goes well, she'd be like, doo-doo.
Are you talking about her appearances on the Make America Horny tour?
I'm going to hand it over to Chris. Woo, woo. For Cuomo prime time.
I was going to ask you for one of those.
Holy shit, right? So those are some of my interesting. And I'm not even going to show you his laugh that everybody hates. His fake laugh on New Year's Eve when they were dealing with Snoop Dogg or somebody. And people don't like it when I show that meme because it's so obnoxious. I mean, it's just brutal. But this is a weird motherfucker here.
She led a Doge meeting last week, but did not say what her role or title was when addressing the staff. For more, we're joined by CNN political analyst, Trump biographer, and New York Times senior political correspondent, Maggie Haberman.
Oh, Maggie. What's your medication? Go off your medication, Maggie. It's just a happy Trump coverer.
Before we talk about the cabinet, Amy Gleason, is she actually? I mean, do we know much about her?
We know some about her. She is the acting Doge administrator, and I want to point out that acting doesn't mean anything in this capacity. This is not a Senate confirmed position, which is what acting refers to. She's just in that role.
She was on vacation in Mexico, which seems
might still be,
which is weird.
Yeah,
timing.
I don't think she didn't know that she was the Doge administrator, which some people have been suggesting. I think she did know that. I certainly don't think that she expected it to get rolled out yesterday and announced yesterday. And again, this is something that if the team involved.
Okay, so Maggie's a little depressing. It sounds like, I mean, as much as you can believe the mainstream media, but like the stuff that's real, I mean, this sounds kind of real. That it's disorganized. Like Trump, Trump, when he interviewed with Joe Rogan, he said this first term he didn't understand how Washington, D.C. worked, and there wasn't any Trumpers available. He basically ran as an independent because the Republican Party was not loving Trump. He just happened to, beat their horrible other candidates. And then they were stuck with him. And Trump himself, in the last debate, he quit against Hillary. I was really bummed out by his lack of, I was looking for more entertaining type of fireworks because everyone knew he was going to lose to Hillary. That's what all the poll numbers said. And Trump himself would look like he was just, all right, I never really wanted to be elected anyway. I was just doing this as one of my Trump publicity stunts. That he would run for president, he'd almost win, and he'd get a lot of, it would help him with his various shit that he had going on, right? But he just quit, and it seemed like in his last month of campaign, he just kind of disappeared. But the American people were into it. And I don't know how much his elections, they're all rigged to whatever extent. I don't know how much are legitimate, how much are rigged, what percentage. And what percentage Trump was just, they liked Trump and they wanted him to be president. Who knows what happened there? But he ends up fucking winning, right? But he said that when he went in there, there was no Trumpers. Like there was no, there was no Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was no any of these people that were, senators and congressional, people that were there to bolster his support, right? So he had to nominate all insiders for posts, and they all stabbed him in the back and they turned on him, right? They weren't Trumpers and they didn't like his agenda. They were all gatekeepers. So he had to put gatekeepers in all these positions. It was hamstrung. And then they fucked him in the re-election. They fucked him on COVID because they were all, Pfizer shills and all this stuff. And he still has Pfizer shills there, but it's a little bit less. But now he said that he was going to have his people. And he knew how it worked. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He admitted he didn't understand. He was a businessman before. So, very telling part of the interview, like he was just lost and didn't understand Washington, D.C. at all. But now he does, and he has Trumpers in there, and he isn't running for re-election, so he can go full Trump. And I've said this before. And he's a fucking incompetent boob, right? Like his whole life, he's just like that horrible Gaza video. He's clueless. He's actually kind of a village idiot in some ways. And so, somebody look for the village because they just lost their idiot, right? some village somewhere is missing their idiot. And so, like, he's just not, like, he's great at selling himself and he's great at doing damage control, but other than that, nothing. And so, so this is where we were at. We'll just watch a little bit more of this.
Involved in all of this, and the White House was not so focused on secrecy, despite saying that they were being very transparent. This would not have been a days-long story. They could have just answered this, and this came up in court proceedings, and I think this is part of why they ultimately said it. But look, she worked in the U.S. Digital Services.
Okay, so Maggie's a little bit depressed. So there are some questions I didn't see about this. There's quite a number of questions. Look at these people, right? These are your people. These are people running your fucking country right now, right?
There's a measles outbreak in Texas at the moment in which a child is reported to have died. Do you have concerns
Jesus fuck.
about that, and have you asked Secretary Kennedy to look into that?
Well, why don't we, Bobby, do you want to speak on that?
We are following the measles epidemic every day. I think there's 124
It's not an epidemic.
people who have contracted measles at this point, mainly in Gaines County, Texas. Mainly, we're told in the Mennonite community, there are 2 people who have died, but we're watching it, and there are about 20 people hospitalized, mainly for quarantine.
Why don't you ask Linda McMahon what she wants you to do? Maybe she could do some wrestling stunt.
We're watching it. We put out a post on it yesterday, and we're going to continue to follow it. Incidentally, there have been 4 measles outbreaks this year. In this country last year, there were 16. So it's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
You sound a little under the weather yourself right now. Are you
I have a permanently bad throat.
The coughing.
Yeah, we all know that shit. It doesn't, doesn't bode well for the health secretary.
U.S. peacekeepers to support the European peacekeepers? Would you do any sort of U.S.
No, we're going to support Europe, yeah.
And how would you do
We're
that?
very
How would the
friendly
United States
with
do
Europe.
that?
We have a great relationship with Europe. I mean, you could ask, you could talk about France, you could talk about any of them. I mean, we have a great relationship with Europe.
But how will the United States do that? Would there be boots on?
I mean, you're asking me a question. What are we doing in the field? Let's worry. I hope we have that problem where we can worry about peacekeeping. We got to get there first. But I hope we have the problem of worrying about peacekeeping.
Knock on wood. Knock on Trump, Elon Musk's head.
That'll be the easiest problem, I think, JD, that we've ever had.
That would be part of the deal, presumably, that the Ukrainians would want.
We'll do it at the time, but peacekeeping is very easy. It's making the deal that's very tough. And again, nobody was speaking to Russia at all. And, probably 1.5 million soldiers have been killed, close to 1.5 million soldiers, not to mention I will tell you, the thing with that horrible war that should have never started would have never started if I were president. And it didn't start for 4 years, and it was not even thought about starting. But the thing with that war...
The war didn't even think about starting itself when I was fucking president.
...is that you're highly underestimating the number of people that have been killed. Far more people have been killed in that war than you talk about. You like to talk about numbers like 1 million people. Well, they had much more than 1 million soldiers killed. But you have a lot of cities that have been knocked to the ground at demolition sites, literally demolition sites. Every single building.
We have to put up a trunk plaza over there.
Knocked to the ground. And a lot of people were killed in those buildings. And you'll hear a report, 2 people were minorly injured or just injured a little bit. No, people were killed by the thousands. And there are a lot more people killed in that war than the media wants to talk about.
Fucking J.D. Vance, like he's just disappeared. They disappeared this fucking weird person. This weird dude.
Because Biden did a
Tulsi Gabbard's got the Cruella de Vil, like, gray streaks going.
horrible, horrible job. He should have prevented that war. He could have prevented that war. Putin would have never gone in. I'll tell you one thing. He would have never gone in. That war would never have taken place if I were president.
If I was president, it wouldn't happen. Like, I think I've said this, 1,000 times. But, I wasn't president because they rigged the election, and you elected Sleepy Joe, and now fucking we got this war that no one can really fix, and it's not my fault because it was all Joe Biden's.
I think what people are trying to understand, Mr. President, is how would the United States, what would you be willing to do to support this European peacekeeping effort? Would there be...
Again, you're asking me the same question.
I'm just trying.
How many times do you have to answer? You're talking about after we make peace. Let me make peace first. Once.
Then we'll put our troops in there that no one's going to like. Right?
Going to happen. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you talked about having common ground with Keir Starmer, but there are things you disagree on as well. You described Zelensky as a dictator. He describes President Putin as a dictator. Do you see that as a problem?
The relationship between President Zelensky and President Putin is not a good one. You've noticed, right? It's not a good one. It's not a good relationship. And we're going to have to try and work something out. Sometimes that happens. I get along with both. I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I think I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky. And now we're doing the deal, and we're going to be in there. We're going to be actually in there and digging our hearts out. And
he likes to dig his heart out.
Hopefully, we need the rare earth, and we have some here, but we don't have enough. Our economy is very strong, and we need a lot of things that in some cases we don't have here.
Because you've been president for a month, it's really strong, and it wasn't before you were elected. But now you're president for a month, it's really strong all of a sudden, right?
So I think we're going to have a very good relationship, but the relationship between them is not the best.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
Holy shit. You were talking about Joe Biden being senile. You call him a dictator. He's laughing, smiling because he was like, yeah, I was just talking shit because that's what I do. But it's not really good fucking policy and presidential, which is funny because, the president's been a joke. The presidency's been a joke for years. All hell breaks loose when Maxwell Frost insults Trump and Musk during House Oversight Committee.
In debt. If you want to make that your platform, your hill to die on, go ahead, because 72% of Americans agree with Doge.
She's full of piss and vinegar. Piss and vinegar she's full of.
Agree with cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse, and agree with what this committee is supposed to be about, oversight.
Oversight Committee. We do oversight here, and people agree with that. And I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So continue your temper tantrums.
Marjorie Taylor Greene out.
I would love to win the midterms. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Frost from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. You know, in the mission statement that you've put out for this committee, it says it's to ensure that the economy, efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability of the federal government, which I think we all agree on. We all want to combat waste, fraud, and abuse. But the thing is that y'all are all looking in the wrong places. You want to talk about...
You're looking for waste in all the wrong places.
Making cuts to things like Medicaid, which, by the way, over 35...
Yeah, you're going to have to cut Medicaid and Social Security because there's no money for it. They're gone. They're done. Fuck you guys for even pretending they're still viable. You just don't want to tell the American people. At some point, someone's going to have to tell them, yeah, you guys are fucked. You're not getting those things. Medicaid and fucking Social Security are done. They no longer exist. You're not getting your money, especially for Social Security, because we all paid money into that, and we're not going to get our money back.
% of all the children in this country are covered under Medicaid. Over 100,000 people in my district are covered under Medicaid. People like the grifter-in-chief Trump and President Musk are openly using their...
Grifter-in-chief, that's great. This is going to not go well, though, apparently, because of the headline of this video.
...public offices to enrich themselves to the tune of billions of dollars. So if we want to look at waste, fraud, and abuse, which I'm down to do...
He's down for that.
Why is there complete silence on the other side of the aisle about looking at the complete grifter that is the President of the United States and the richest man on the earth, which is looking into things like Social Security and different things like that? Why don't we investigate the real corruption?
He's out of order.
Hold off. Point of order.
I reclaim my time.
Point of order.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Hold off. There was a point of order when you said something. Who asked for it? Mr. Higgins.
I can refer to Elon Musk as the president.
I don't believe the First Amendment has been suspended in this committee yet.
Yeah, y'all were fine with one of your other members talking about fighting someone just a few weeks ago.
This point of order bullshit, right? Like there's some kind of integrity in all these goofy rules. I think they're upset because he called Elon Musk the president. I'm not sure. That guy couldn't hear that guy. Okay, what's happening? You guys fucking get your shit together. Okay, I was promised all hell breaks loose.
Well, did anyone on our side make a meme coin right after being elected president of the United States?
Mr. Frost, before we proceed on all of this,
Mr. Chairman,
would you like to hold on? I'm the chairman. I'm recognize Mr.
I'm
Frost.
a chairman. There's some southern shit going on here with Marjorie Taylor Greene. This guy, I don't know where he's from. This dude from Florida.
Then we'll recognize you. Would you like to revise your remark with respect to improperly identifying the President of the United States?
I'll say President Musk and grifter-in-chief Trump.
All right.
Oh. He ain't revising the statement. This is where we saw this shit happen with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, this is all about viral moments. This guy wants a viral moment. This is what happened, and he's getting it. This is totally viral moment, like, directed. And the Marjorie Taylor Greene's been doing this for a while, and now she's, like, prominent. Unlike Boebert. What is her name? Whatever her first name is, Boebert. Boebert's, like, disappeared. Is she even a part of this anymore? Did she lose? Oh, no. Don't tell me. Don't care. I don't need to know. But Marjorie Taylor Greene has become, like a person of substance in the Republican Party because of her backing of Trump, and now she's feeling herself. And all these other people are like, well, I'm going to do that shit too, right? Which is good for us because it gives us these viral outrageous. It's not going to change anything. But remember with the whole insult thing that happened with her, and that woman called her bad beach blonde butch body, whatever it was. And so there's all this stuff. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this more sensationalistic because nobody wants to watch this shit. Nobody cares. And the country's fucked anyway, right?
hey, Mr. Chairman, point of order. If I wanted to challenge someone to a fight, they would know it. Thank you.
They would know it. if I wanted to challenge someone to a fight, I wouldn't do it in secret. I would come out and just challenge them. I wouldn't whisper it. I would challenge you to a fight. Yeah, I want to fight. Yeah, I'll challenge you to a fight. No, I'd come out and I'd actually say it.
There's an extra fundraising video for her.
Okay, so then what's the guys going to be talking
Mr.
about?
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe that Mr. Musk is protected by the rules of the House or the committee. No.
We're looking at the disparaging the president now.
It's not about disparaging Musk. It's about disparaging the president. Now they got to look into the rules, see if this is okay.
But I don't believe Mr. Frost disparaged the president. I believe he disparaged Mr. Musk.
Well, he did disparage.
Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Musk actually came here, then maybe the rules
All right.
of the committee
I heard
would
no
apply to
disparagement
him.
of the
I'll say something else.
We'll save a lot of time.
I'll say something else.
Okay, all right. We're going to let.
He's got something else to say that's going to be shitty. He's totally doing something. He's like a kid who's misbehaving. Like the kid who you're riding in their parents' station wagon, and one of the siblings puts their finger. Don't touch your brother. Don't touch your sister. I'm not touching you, and puts the finger an inch away. Right, that kind of bullshit. That's what he's trying to do here.
Chair recognized Mr. Frost. You still have 349. You're going to maybe revise the disparaging comment about the president because that's supposed to be our decorum here. And
it is supposed to be. President Musk and the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who is engaged in grifting of the American people, often use their public offices to enrich themselves. Someone on the other side was just asking, how would you feel if you called someone else from
Point of order. Point of order. Like you're about the rules, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when you've done this yourself over and over again.
Hold off, Mr. Frost. Hold off. There's a pending motion for disparaging the president.
The guy's saying the truth because Trump and Musk are total grifters, and they are grifting you. And if you don't fucking know that, Jesus Christ.
So the motion was words taken down about disparaging the president, and the chair finds the words for the gentleman from Florida are not parliamentary because they constitute personalities toward the president, which, if you sit in the House floor, that's always uttered by the presiding officer on the House floor. You cannot disparage the President of the United States. So,
Mr. Chairman, would you please read back to us the words that were disparaging? Because I didn't hear them.
if you're willing to request unanimous consent to withdraw the disparaging the comments about President Trump, I guess you can disparage Elon Musk if you want.
I will withdraw grifter in chief, and I will. I will say the president's grifting because you spent the last 2 years saying President Biden
Take down his words.
So I can say that Trump is grifting. What I will withdraw is calling him grifter in chief. That is what I will withdraw.
Exactly. That's just the point of order. Like this is your tax dollar at work here. You're paying these fucking salaries here for this bullshit. This fucking denutted. If this is the committee. The oversight is supposed to oversee all the things that Trump's Doge is doing now. So this committee has been denuded because it didn't do what it was supposed to do, right? And not that Trump's doing what he's supposed to do, but obviously he's finding some real waste. And there's real waste like Carvel was saying. I was looking at another video with Carvel and Cuomo's when I was looking for that thing about Stephen A. Smith. And he was saying that they've underperformed. Because he thinks there's at least 5% findable waste, and they haven't found that yet. Whatever it was, the numbers. But, this committee's supposed to be doing that job, and they're not. And so they're just battling over whether he can call Trump a grifter or not, right?
Change the point of order, and the words in question are ordered stricken from the transcript of this proceeding. So the member is barred from further participation.
I challenge the ruling of the chair.
Challenge the ruling of the chair.
Jesus Christ.
I moved to table.
Okay, we have a motion to challenge ruling the chair, and then Mr.
Motion to
Gosar made a motion to table the Mr.
Second.
Conley's motion. So there's a motion and second to
Somebody seconded it.
table Mr. Conley's motion. The motion is not debatable. As many as are in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
In the opinion of the
Mr.
chair,
Chairman,
the
I ask
ayes
for a
have it.
recorded vote.
A recorded vote.
Okay, so I don't know who won that one. The ayes or the noes.
Vote is ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan votes yes. Mr. Turner. Mr. Gosar. Mr. Gosar votes yes. Ms. Fox. Mr. Grothman. Mr. Grothman votes yes. Mr. Cloud.
There's a dude named Cloud.
Mr. Cloud votes yes.
Okay, so let's move forward. The hell is going this quick to round?
Skip her. Go to the next.
Okay, so here.
Mr. Frost votes no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee votes no. Mr. Kassar.
So something tells me this is going along Democrat and Republican lines, and there's more Republicans because they share this thing. So there's going to be, unless there's some of the Republicans didn't show up, there's going to be the Republicans will win all these things.
Ms. Crockett.
Insulting people's appearance as well as trying to fight them isn't a problem.
Point of order. It's a yes or no.
But we're so sad
Nope.
Yes or no.
that our
Yes or no.
order.
Just skip her.
We're so
Skip
sad.
her. Skip her. You're
My
skip
vote.
her. Go to the next one. Go to the next.
The
one.
MSNBC.
Is she the one that's called Marjorie Taylor Greene? The Crockett, the one that caused her bad beach butch blonde body, whatever it was.
Baker.
Go to the next one. Don't
Respond.
count that. Go to the next one.
Ms. Randall votes no. Mr. Subramaniam. Mr. Subramaniam votes no. Ms. Ansari.
One more time. How has Ms. Crockett voted?
Ms. Crockett is not yet recorded.
No.
All right.
I thank my colleague.
Ms. Crockett votes no.
Mr. Chairman, how is Mr. Kassar recorded?
Mr. Kassar is not recorded. Mr. Kassar votes no.
Jesus Christ! This is how much electricity and energy to heat this building is being used for this fucking bullshit, right? Okay, they're trying to tally up the votes here. Trying to figure fucking things out.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 20, the nays are 19.
Yeah, it's one vote difference. So there's one more Republican than Democrat. So this is how it was.
The motion to table passes. I now recognize Mr. McGuire.
I want to say it's despicable that this committee is going to silence me for bringing
The
up
gentleman's
Trump's
words have been taken down. He is not
corruption.
permitted to speak for the rest of the hearing.
Making millions of dollars.
Mr. Ranking Member, I'm going to have the Sergeant at Arms remove him if he doesn't refrain.
He's leaving. Big fuck you to you guys. All right, so that was just, it shows you, like, this is a committee about government waste, and they just wasted a shit ton of your money. I mean, you know, whatever it is, not like a lot, not $1 billion, but it's just, this is what they did. This is what they're fucking doing. Instead of governing, it's all party lines and, you know, actually doing some bipartisan work to get rid of waste in the government. That's why there is Doge, and Elon Musk and Trump are totally going to grift because, you know, you got two grifters who have grifted and all of a sudden they're not going to grift. You know, like, fuck you guys who think that Trump and Elon Musk aren't going to do what they've always done, which is go after wealth and power for themselves. All of a sudden they're just like with Bill Gates. You guys know about Bill Gates, right? You don't like Bill Gates. Bill Gates was a piece of shit at CEO of Microsoft that was involved in all kinds of manipulation and monopolization and all kinds of bad shit. And then all of a sudden now you consider, people in the left consider him a philanthropist because he's pushing for liberal agenda. No, he's not a philanthropist. He's not somebody who does things out of the goodness of his heart. Just like Trump and Elon Musk don't. They're greedy, fucking selfish, narcissistic businessmen. So this is how it is, right? This is the people you have running your fucking country into the ground. It's already fucked. They're just taking what's left of American wealth. So one of my viewers sent me this. I was covering flopping. And it says, look at what Shea and Embiid have done to our youth. And so that's two basketball players known for flopping. But James Harden and LeBron are big floppers. James Harden more so. But look at this kid here. Look, he's just, he just completely fell back. And then he got the call. And look at the kids. He's like, I didn't even touch him. So, these kids are learning to flop this kid. He's just going to pretend, look, you do that. And the ref sees that, and they're like, oh, you must have hit him. And so, if kids are copying that, look at this kid here. But I didn't. And so, I've talked about that. I talked about how you're, demonstrating something. Like these guys who, they used to be, NBA players used to have summer jobs. It didn't pay enough money, like when the NBA was first coming in. And then they started making more and more money through the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson years and Michael Jordan years. And then their salaries are now, some guys are making $60 million a year. Quarterbacks make that, like Patrick Mahomes, some of these guys. That's the only, in NFL, which is a much more successful, obviously a bigger sport, football. And these basketball players, max deals are, $50, $60 million for, maybe one or two players on a team. And they have these big time deals. And then even guys who are the bare minimum are coming in thinking $1 million a year or something like that, right? And so, they've disrespected the game, the hard work and the way by just doing this acting bullshit that no one wants to watch. The ratings are down because of political views and this kind of bullshit, flopping and all that stuff. And where kids are doing this, right? It's kind of hilarious. So this is a tech festival in China. Right here is an AI robot. It's about to attack the crowd. So let's watch that again. Things going on. Look, it goes out and starts trying to fucking attack some of the people, right? So, it's only a matter of time before we're all AI robotic slaves, because this is where it's going to head up. So Trump met with Zelensky and accused him of starting a World War III. Him and J.D. Vance were tag teaming the guy. And they got into it, pretty much contentious. I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen headlines and news reports on the TV, just brief stuff. But I'm going to cover it next to my video. Things, every day it's something, right? Every day it's fucking something. I'm going to wrap this one up for today, but, we're bombarded by, intense things that seem pretty important, at least in terms of, the end of world type of stuff. But, everything's moving so quickly, and Trump now being president, all the shit he's done. He's only been president for a month. What was he, sworn in the 21st? A month and a week, 5 weeks. And so, anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pouring from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.